Welcome to Home Gym History. I'm Rob from Vintage Weights PGH, and I'm here with a roundtable discussion of small business owners who get their hands dirty. They're designers, they're fabricators, and I wanted to get these like-minded individuals together while we are here together at Home Gym Con. So if you're listening at home, to introduce everybody, to my right, I've got JD from JD Gym Equipped. Can you tell us a little bit about what your company does, what you're up to?
Yeah, our company specializes mostly stainless weightlifting accessories. We do a lot of attachments, some rack-mounted goods. Everything's made in America, American steel, American stainless.
Nice. And then directly to my right, I've got Chris from Mutant Metals. Welcome, Chris. Can you tell us a little bit about Mutant Metals?
Similar. We make mostly rack attachments, most notably the UDA, Ultimate Dip Attachment, and Snapback Rollers, which is a spring-loaded monolift. And we also make some other rack attachable jammer arm stuff like stainless handles, and most of our components are either stainless and they're it's all American steel, also all American stainless, all American steel made here.
Nice. Now you're the odd duck, Nate, because we'll get to Dean from Black Widow, but Executive Fit. Tell the listeners, I don't know, what can we expect from Executive Fit?
So we build the custom weightlifting platforms, custom gym signage, barbell storage. That's essentially what encapsulates the entirety of the business.
Nice. So a lot of woodworking as
All wood,
opposed
yes.
to metal.
All wood and plastic.
Gotcha.
Plastic, yep.
Gotcha. And then Dean from Black Widow Training Gears here. Pretty much the same as these other guys, right? Or what would you describe Black Widow as?
Like, I have my product line, mainly all steel, but a lot of custom requests. We build everything in-house. So people, cross members, they want to reconfigure their rack, but there's not something on the market that'll fit their need. They contact us, give us some measurements, we bring it to life. And even our product line, someone may say, hey, I want the handles spaced a little different, and we're small, so it's easy enough for us to space something out to fit your needs.
Nice. That's a good segue to something that I noticed as you even described yourselves, is that all four of you build in-house. All four of you are manufacturing as opposed to sourcing and selling, which I'm not knocking companies. Plenty of companies downstairs here at Home Gym Con that source their materials and source their products, and that's fine. I've purchased from those companies. But when it comes to that aspect of the industry, you know, what do you guys think is an advantage of doing the majority, I'd say, of your product in-house versus sourcing something and selling it?
I think control.
Yeah.
You have a little bit more control. And so if somebody comes to you with an odd request or something that's different from the norm, you don't have to contact a manufacturer to have them modify an agreement or something that they're already making for you to be able to accommodate one-offs. For example, all of our designing is done in-house as well. So if one of the products that we sell is the deadlift box, it pairs really well with the crash pads, and it's set at 5 inches. But plenty of times people will reach out and be like, can you make it 6 inches?
Yeah.
Sure, it's a quick change on the design before we run it, and then you can accommodate that. So I would imagine that process would be pretty difficult if you're reaching out to a manufacturer who's doing all that work for you to get one made.
Sure.
or even just a small run made when maybe they're used to 50, 100, 1,000 unit runs at a time.
Yeah, I think the business advantages of it are becoming less and less as time moves on, and there's more import companies that come in and their quality starts going up and up. You know, you see companies like Rep that are making stuff that's almost indistinguishable from American-made products, and we're getting more into the ideology of it, where, you know, our customers are generally people that are very adamant about stuff being made in America with American-made, you know, material.
Yeah.
But that's getting tougher and tougher as time goes on. Our prices are increasing, our materials constantly going up. You know, we saw during the pandemic there was a doubling in stainless price, you know, kind of across the board, which stainless was already expensive, and then doubled, regular steel almost tripled, and they leveled out and never dropped back down. So it's like, and when you're making stuff in house, you're responsible from that material drop till it goes out the door and every process in between. And most of us don't make enough margin where we could just hire, we can't have a bunch of employees running around that are helping us with every little thing. So, I think that's why you see so many people go the import route, is if you want to scale the business and you want to actually, make some money to take care of yourself. It's getting harder and harder to do that in the U.S. And that's the unfortunate truth about it. But if you want to be able to hire people and you want to be able to expand, a lot of times you have to go import. We have a lot of hardcore customers that'll really, they'll shovel out the money to get something made in America, start to finish, by a small shop, but those numbers are going down, not up.
Yeah, I mean, I have respect for all of you, because I like when I look at a piece of equipment and I know the person that made it.
Yeah.
Then there's that quality to it that you don't get with something that's imported. But like you said, I'm looking at some of the stuff that's imported and it is nice. And I think some processes have changed, and I can speak to one recently. I spoke to Mayhem yesterday, and James from Mayhem was talking about, I asked him, like, what's it like, how do you keep track of quality when you're getting your equipment from overseas? And he said, well, something that a lot of people don't know is that, I spend almost a month, I go over to the factory for about 3 weeks every year. And I, basically go through everything piece by piece. So, I think there has been some change with some companies. I'm not going to apply that kind of quality care
and that's the advantage
quality
we
assurance
have,
to everybody.
Like he was saying, we have the advantage of mobility and being nimble, but that advantage is only so much of an advantage. So,
well, all of you have had customers come to you for pieces of equipment, things like that. Like I know JD, you've had customers request things of that kind of sort. So, and then Nate, you do highly customized things. So that's something I don't think you could outsource and get from overseas when it comes to customization of your product. But JD, can you speak to that at all? Like when it comes to a customized product or someone coming to you, do you have people that the request is just too much, or do you have people that, it's generally like, yeah, we can do that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it's hard because the custom stuff takes your time away from the production, and the stuff that you're just kind of putting out that the processes all are in line.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to control.
if you
it,
make a mistake,
especially
it's on
if
you.
you have like an employee. I got one employee that helps me out, so he knows how to do certain things. But once it comes to a custom, that's all me. So that's it's a time suck. So you really have to make it worth it. And a lot of times, it may not be worth it. So you got to really pick and choose. Like I'm getting to that now. I used to just like anything that came in the door, I got to do it because it's money I'm losing or a customer I might be losing. But now I'm a little more picky and choosy with it to make sure it's worth the company's time.
Especially if you're working with something so finicky like stainless that is really hard to work and it's hard on tooling. It's expensive to tool.
For someone like me that doesn't work with any metal besides just cleaning up old weights, why is stainless so hard to work with? Why is it finicky?
It's just it's hard on tooling. Like I don't know.
It's very gummy.
Yeah, I don't know.
So like when you go to machine it, like a steel versus like a 304 stainless, a steel is gonna chip and have like little chips.
Okay.
A stainless tends to have like a long stringy chip unless you have
just
everything
gonna ruin your project.
right in line. So yeah, it blows through tooling. If you saw it recently on Instagram, I posted like one of the heavy mugs with like a nest of like string chips around it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens if you don't have everything right.
And it's like he said, it's really tough on tooling because of just the properties of it. It'll machine harden. Like if you don't know how to machine stainless, it will eat through tooling really fast.
So when I see the cost of a certain piece of equipment or something that's stainless, it's not just the material, it's also the labor.
And if you're doing it custom, now you're taking on the risk of, well, if I mess this one up, I'm used to knurling this diameter. If I go up a 1/4 inch and I set the tooling wrong, well, now I just blew through $140 of knurling wheels. Because and it looks like crap. So now I'm out, another $300 of material, and
Yeah.
And the skill. I mean, I obviously don't work with metal, but it just sounds like it takes a much higher skill level to
I don't know,
effectively.
wood intimidates me.
It's so funny that you say that.
Yeah.
But it just sounds like
could add it back
that it
to the
takes
steel.
a
That's
much
true.
higher level of skill to work with stainless than it does
Stainless is
regular steel.
Yeah.
Even welding it, like, you know, you can't just, I mean, people do, you can MIG weld it, but it doesn't come out as good. You know, you get the spatter on the stainless, so you don't have that clean look. So like everything we do that's stainless or stainless to steel, it's all TIG welded. So
Okay. Yeah.
And there is one advantage of the whole import economy thing is that, like I know in my shop, I don't use all American source tooling and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
So one of the advantages is that allows us to lower our cost. And like he's saying with machining, stuff like laser welding is now starting to enter the market where we could afford it. Where before, you know, if an American company made a laser welder, it cost you a couple $100,000, and now import ones are around 10 grand.
Okay.
And
Huge difference.
So
Big difference.
that's one advantage to us from the import area is that we have more accessibility. But that's also the advantage to our customers with these import companies is they have accessibility where the quality gap's not quite as large as it used to be. So American manufacturers tend to differ. They start to specialize.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but as we get more specialized, they see that, and then they start picking up the stuff we specialize, and then they scale it. And you know, we can't just go out. I can't just go out and spend 20 grand and go, well, this is patent pending.
Yeah.
I'm going to protect this item, and that's really tough to do. And that's one of the other advantages of being able to scale a business is you have the capital to do things like that.
Well, as far as cost to consumer, that's something that just loosely, it was when I got here on Thursday, I was talking with Nate and Dean downstairs about how you guys were saying sometimes it's really difficult to give a quote or kind of lead a customer through what something's going to cost. So Dean, you said something really great, the good, better, best, you know, kind of thing. Can you speak to that at all? Like if I'm, just imagine I want to upgrade, I've just got a basic power rack in my home gym, but wow, I'm here at Home Gym Con, look at this Black Widow training gear stuff. And I come to you and say, Dean, how much does this cost? Like, what are you going to tell me?
Because I don't know exactly what you're seeing. So it's like, you might not see the pull-up bar, and that could be $400 difference right there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, almost, what do you want to spend? I could tell you what I could do, keep you in your budget.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, the good, better, best, if like, I break it down, a regular pull-up bar is good, custom pull-up bar, then best, I'd contact one of you guys for a stainless pull-up bar and let the customer see the options and then decide on the price instead of me trying to figure out something that doesn't exist. And it puts more control on them and makes them feel comfortable that they're not getting ripped off. Like, so they get to agree to the price. It's not like a up in the air type of thing.
Makes sense. Because, I mean, home gym owners, by and large, love customization. It's nice to make your gym yours and, add those little touches, even if it's just a color scheme. Nate, have you gotten any wild requests for things or anything you couldn't handle? Or has it, been a friendly challenge when people come to you and say, I want this?
It's funny because I've never said no to doing a logo. So, like, those of you who don't know how this process works, the way that I add logos to platforms is through a process called epoxy inlays. So I'll CNC engrave into the wood of the platform, and then that gets filled with epoxy and multiply that over how many colors there are in a logo, and then it gets finished and coated with a top coat. And so that whole process, the more colors in a logo there is, the more of a process that it takes, not only in the actual epoxy work part, but on the back end in the designing and getting the files right. And so I've never said no to a logo. I've had some crazy requests, but the crazier the logo, the more expensive it's going to be, obviously, because there's more time involved. So yes, I have gotten some pretty wild requests, but most times people don't understand what I just explained. So when I tell them a number, it's like, I wasn't expecting that. And then comes the education part of it, and well, here's why it looks like that. And like going off of what you said about the good, better, best, that's what led me to, in certain circumstances, asking, what's your budget?
Yeah.
And it's not to see what I can get out of you, it's to see how I can serve you, right? Because if you got this crazy logo you want done, it's okay, what's your budget? It's like, well, I only want to spend X. Like, I'm going to be at 4X to do that as a epoxy inlay. So let's not waste each other's time in emailing back and forth, and that's then led to me to offer other ways to do logos. I have incorporated vinyl printing into the whole process so that you can still, hey, like if you just want your logo on a platform and your logo happens to be super crazy and you don't have the budget for an epoxy inlay, like we can still get the logo on the platform. So that's been a big question that I've asked people just right off the bat in certain circumstances, like how much you want to spend on this? Because there's a couple ways we can go about it, and it's not about, how much can I get out of you? It's how can I help you? Like you have a problem, you're coming to me, your problem is you want to put this product in.
Some paths forward.
Like how can I help you achieve the solution to your problem?
Yeah, I like that.
So
Now, Dean, you mentioned how like you might go to one of these guys to help you out with like a higher end stainless pull-up bar. Have you guys worked with each other at all, or with other companies in any capacity? What's that like? Like, I know you two met each other last year and realized, wait a minute, we're both in New York. At home
20
gym
minutes
con.
away from each other.
You guys didn't know you were 20 minutes away from each other until you met each other at home gym con. So, can any of you guys speak to that at all, working with any other companies?
Like right before this, I actually reached out to him because a customer wanted my dip station with stainless handles. So I asked him for a price, or before I even got to that point, I made sure the customer knew it's going to be a lot more than, like his handles are probably going to be more than what I sell the dip station for.
Yeah.
But that customer values the dip station. To someone else sitting right next to him, it could be worthless to them. So it's like, as long as the customer values our time, it'll work out. And it's you kind of got to weed that out though, because otherwise I'm wasting my time, his time, and it's like, why keep going back and forth? But,
it's like a great thing for small business to have someone like that too, because like Dean has certain specialties that like I can't even do. Like downstairs at our booth right now, any of the tube, he cut all the holes in it with the plasma. Like I have no way to even do that, so I reached out to him, had him cut that stuff up, and now we got like, it's like a group effort on something.
Nice.
People doing what they're most efficient at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the only way we could even fight the whole import thing. If you want to, like, I hate to keep coming back to that. That's like the biggest elephant in the room right now.
Yeah,
It's like
sure.
that sector of the market is taking over, and like if we still want to be able to do, if you still want stuff like this to exist, the only way it's going to happen is if like we're communicating with each other and trying to like, combine abilities, because we can't all go out and fully tool a shop that has lasers and all the fancy stuff that makes business scalable. And so and I think that even goes to the bigger guys like Rogue or Sornex or whoever. They should be reaching out to smaller guys more and going, hey, we like this thing.
Yeah.
That we see all these other people that like it too, that we know that you can't scale it. They need to start approaching smaller guys more instead of just going off and doing their own thing. Help them scale their products up, and then you support the system as a whole, and everything grows. Because some of these larger companies, that's a big boat to steer, and it's hard to innovate all the time. And where we're just turning 24 hours a day, it's like, oh well, you have an idea at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna get up, put it on my phone.
Well, you is a perfect, you read my mind there, Chris, because the way I was going to wrap this up, gentlemen, was to say, like, what's the path forward as a whole in this industry for companies that are the size of your companies and doing what you're doing as these designers and fabricators that you are. So, yeah, it seems like collaborative efforts, big time. bigger companies working with some of the, 1 or 2 man shops, like Rep Fitness, for example, had a deal with Belt-Fed Strength for
Right.
their cable attachment, BFAS. So could Rep have just made like a similar design and just put one out? Yeah, they could have, but it wouldn't have been the quality that Chris and Randy
Right.
put forth in their shop.
Right.
And so a lot of respect goes out from me to a company like Rep to do something like that and reach out to a smaller company and get a quality made product and come to an agreement that they can work together. So,
Yeah, and I think like this event shows a little bit the culture that's wrapped around this whole thing, that, some people are really deep into this, and those are the people that are on these websites and forums that are commenting all the time. So, like, feed into the culture, quit going against it. Like,
Sure.
quit regressing what everybody's trying to do just
Yeah.
for the sake of scalability of a business, Whether it's an import company or an American company, there's a lot of people out here struggling, so.
sure.
I think the
Go ahead.
biggest thing is finding relationships where it's wins across the board.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite things about being in business is being able to work with other companies that have skills or machinery that I don't have.
Yeah.
And so when we can do that and collaborate together, it's a win for you as your business owner, because you don't have that machinery or those skills. It's a win for whoever you're collaborating with, because now you're paying them, and it's a win for the customer because their problem is getting solved. So if it's not a win-win-win for everybody involved,
Yeah.
I don't want any part of it. And I think if we keep that mindset, that's how we fix this.
Any other closing thoughts, guys? Because, yeah, I like that a lot, that mindset.
Yeah, like I'd say, like coming to me, I have, I think, 120 products, and like my value isn't that I'm better than anyone else. It's you get to talk to me, the guy that's actually making it, and then in your gym, it's like, hey, I got a piece from Dean. It's not like, oh, I got a piece from Titan and shipped yesterday, like next day. It's like the value isn't necessarily in being better or worse than something. It's like a unique custom piece you get to call your own, and you're into working out, so it's like I get to use it too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that are waking up to the idea of where the origin source of the stuff that they're buying is, and like the ethics behind that, and you're getting stuff that's made in China. Who knows what the factory conditions are?
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of those companies vet that out.
Yeah.
But the person buying it has no idea unless that's
Yeah.
laid out and educated by the company. They have no. You buy an iPhone. Who knows
You have
all
no
the
idea.
little processes that
That's
go
what I
through
meant
that.
about when I referenced before that, like, that was enlightening to me to hear that, wow, you go over to China for like a month every year. That's pretty awesome. Like but then I immediately thought, I wonder how many companies actually do that. And I don't know, but my gut instinct is not that many. Not that many. There's probably a lot that just on the computer, just click and email back and forth and yeah, we're buying this.
Right.
And they have no idea how it's made or what happens in that factory. So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
It's I was talking to one of the other guys down there before, the company Insight.
Okay.
That has a booth downstairs.
Sure.
And the guy's walking around. He's like 80% of the imports I make. Like, and it's one company in there making half the stuff you see down there.
Yeah.
And you won't know that. It's not a good or bad thing. It's
Yeah.
just
It's interesting.
it's like
Yeah.
the business model though. Like I'm not looking to scale and hire a bunch of employees, because then I enjoy making this stuff. Then I
Yeah.
become a manager, and I'm just putting out fires all over the place, and that's not what I want. I'm not looking to be a millionaire. I just
Yeah.
get up, do something I love, go to sleep, do it again.
And that's real individual based too, because I know in my case, the days where it was working 90 hours a week, and you got a wife and you got kids, and they're in baseball or they got this to go to, and you're running back and forth, and there's a fine line there between making enough money and
Yeah.
still being able to enjoy your life. You know, if you really enjoy making things, I like to make things, but at the same time, it's like, man, this is just, it's really taxing to put all this stuff together all the time.
Yeah, the work-life
And
balance.
You're like, well, how can, most of us aren't looking to like, I don't care if I ever buy a supercar or something like that, but it's like, I still want to be able to do the things I want to do. You know?
Sure.
I want to be able to put my family in a house. I want to be able to take care of my kids.
Time is
Yeah.
the only commodity.
That you never get
get back.
Can't get back.
No.
So
Can't-
like, you can't be afraid to say no.
Yeah.
I can't handle that right now.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, or I have a waiting list before I even get to talking to you about
Yeah.
this. You know, I'll put you on the waiting list. Like, time is the only commodity. The work will always be there. The new jobs will always be there.
Sure.
But your kids are only
Yeah,
only 4 once.
exactly.
You know, they're
Yeah,
only
yeah.
6 once, and I mean, at the end of the day, when people are on their deathbed, how many people said, "Man, I wish I spent more time in the shop"?
Exactly. I wish I.
How many people say that? You know.
Yeah,
And
not many.
So.
How about you, JD? Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I guess just for customers, whenever you can, just try to support an American business and try to have your patience with people too. Like, I know everyone here probably like answers all their own emails, and like sometimes it's tough getting back to people right away. So
Yeah.
And you throw all the social media messages in that.
yeah,
You know,
sometimes
Yeah.
people do both.
stuff's
It's-
going
it's
wrong
tough.
in the shop, and stuff compounds, and
Yeah, machine goes down. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
well, how long is it going to take? And then
I
when
wish I
tooling
knew.
breaks, so you got to get new
Yeah.
tooling. It's
Yep.
like
Yep.
what I told you yesterday is different today. It's
Yeah.
like, do you
It's
respond
life.
to a bunch of different people and keep updating them, or you just do what you got to do to get it done? It's
Yeah.
like
That's why we're recording like we are right now.
Yeah.
Because it's audio-visual technical difficulties, and we did what we had to do, gentlemen.
had to
So with that in mind, thank you for your flexibility in terms of your time today. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
coming
having
on.
us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
I'm looking forward to getting back downstairs and seeing what's happening, and you guys need to get back to your booth. So at home, please support these businesses. I'm going to drop a link for each one of them in the description. You'll feel good about what you buy when you buy it from guys like this. This is Rob from Vintage Weights PGH, and this is Home Gym History Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Right on.